Just give me a moment. It's recording to the cloud. It doesn't matter. Any questions, anyone?
Sir, I have just one question.
Tell me.
You have the table as well as the charts, right? But when I did it, I just had the charts. So
What do you mean I have the table as well as the chart?
So there is at the right hand side, you have top 5 customers name, total sales and total profit as table. Right?
Because I've said as a table. No?
Okay.
That is why it's creating a table. Okay? So you choose the type of visualization that you want.
Achha. Okay.
Sir, one more thing. When we select any chart or any card, and in the formatting, when we do any editing thing, then can we select or deselect again? Like
You have selected what? Like one of the columns or the chart itself?
no, sir. Just select any card or
Any card. Okay.
No, card, not card, sir. Chart that.
Okay.
Like
all right.
Below bottom
this one, right?
corner.
Yes. The slicer.
Yes, sir. Slicer.
Okay.
And go to format.
Okay. All right.
It's not visible. Sir, format and edit. So that above in the menu bar.
You mean this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So when we select anything after that, so basically what we're doing that we are deselecting any chart or column, right?
Oh, you're not deselecting, you're disconnecting, right? Any chart.
Okay.
This is what you mean, right?
Yes, sir. So
just click on edit once again.
No, sir. If we let us suppose if we deselect one of these chart, and then we have.
Let me do that. So let me turn it to none. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And
so
when we have to again select it, like connect it, then
same thing. You go back to edit, change it back to the filter.
Okay. Sir, I was selecting at that none thing and it wasn't working.
Yeah. So none basically it's not a toggle. There are 2 different buttons there, so you can choose the one you want. Cool. Anything else, anyone?
So can you just explain one more time this card thing? Total profit and sales.
This one?
Yes, sir. How to do that?
This is the simplest one. You're making a card like this, right? And I'm keeping my profit in it. Just a minute. That's all. 1 to 3, and then sales is in the field.
So we just need to drag the card symbol in the sales.
That's it. That's all. So just need to drag the sales in it. It will give you the totals. Good. Anything else? Anyone? So text box, card, column chart, bar chart, Q&A, slicer. These are the different things that we have done. All right, so let's make another page. And in this, I want to explain to you exactly how the drill down works. So this was my first dashboard. And this would be our drill. So drill is very important because it allows you to drill inside your data if you want to see more granular data. So when we say aggregated, we are referring to top line. And the moment we say we want to go inside a product, inside a subproduct, inside a category, then it becomes a drill. I'm going to copy my column chart, Control C and Control V. And you will notice here that there are these. Let me take the slicer as well. Okay. So copy the slicer and put that here. We do not want to sync it. Okay. Now the thing is that if I ask you a question, if I say, let's look at 2050, right? And I want to go inside the last month, which would be December. And then within December, so I want to go in the last quarter, Q4. Then I want to go in December. And in that, I want to go in each date. Right? So maybe in a retail sector, you're very interested to find out the day-wise sales. So you can see the pattern, where the weekend is higher, weekday is higher, like that. Now, right now, when I click on 15, nothing happens. It just selects it, but I'm not able to go inside it, right? So there are these arrows at the bottom. We'll go through them one by one. The up arrow is.
So can you explain again, how did you get drill option?
It will come on its own. If you have your order date in the axis, then these arrows will come on its own. Just double check whether you have this.
No, sir, I'm talking about the drill page.
I created a page.
So you just
called
renamed
drill.
it.
Yeah, I just created a page and copied the first chart in the slice.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it manually, just copy and paste.
Okay, sir.
Right? Okay, so the question is very clear. I want to go inside a year and a quarter and a month, right? So I can click, the up arrow is disabled because I'm already at the first level, right? So when I click on the drill button, what that means is that now when I click on 15, it will not simply select it, it will take me inside 15. So it is showing me Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. If I go in Q4, it tells me there are 3 months, October, November, and December. And if I click on December, it shows me the day by sales like this. Right? So you can go in any one of these and you can go back up like this. Let me explain the other two as well, and then you can practice. Let me turn this off. We don't need it anymore. Now, right now, it is showing us the sales for 12, 13, 14, 15. But I would like to look at a normalized data. So I would like to see that overall, in the last 4 years, which quarter has been the best. So when I click on the next level, that would be the double arrow. It tells me that 4.3 million is not Q4 for any 1 year, but it is the aggregation of Q4 for all the last 4 years. Once again, and once again. So tell me something, by looking at this data, what is the insight? What can you tell me? Don't tell me numbers, tell me the business actionable insight that is there.
Sales was highest in December.
I'm sorry.
Sales was highest in December.
Okay.
So sales in the last 2 quarters is much higher than the first 2 quarters.
Okay. So I would say that my sales in the second half of the year is clearly higher than the sales for Q1. But July seems to be, see, I'll tell you what, whenever somebody asks you, tell me an insight, you shouldn't really talk about, you shouldn't just describe the data. Try to understand. So when I'm sitting with a client and the client says, let's do some analysis and I'm presenting my findings to them, I'm not going to tell them this is high and this is low because obviously they already know that, right? The idea is to identify something that stands out, something that is interesting. Obviously, highlighting the high-low is important, but I'm assuming that you will do in any case. What is interesting here is the fact that there is a clear demarcation between H1 and H2, half one and half two. The second interesting thing is that, look at this. There's something very strange happening here, right? Like overall, you see an upward movement. Overall, you see that there has been an upward movement in sales, but this is just wrong. There's something horribly going wrong here. So that month of July has had a big impact. And is it only in 1 year? No, this is in all the last 4 years. So if I go back, if I only look at 15, in 15, it tells me, right? Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. If I look at July, you see that July has been low, 0.26, right? Let's go to 14. In 14 again, when I look at July, July is still low. So there's some pattern that is emerging here. If you would like to see all of the quarters at the same time, because the problem is when you do the next level, right? It is telling you that overall July has been not the lowest, but July has been an anomaly in a sense that out of all these excellent months, July has not been good. But I would like to know not just the aggregation for July, I would like to know details for all the month and all the quarters. That means I will go back up and I will say, don't go to the next level, but expand the data. That means rather than showing me only 1 year or only showing me the quarter, show me the complete data. So this will show you that complete seasonality. So you can clearly see a pattern that emerges here. You can see that we have a seasonal pattern. It starts slow, it keeps on ramping up till the Q4, and then it drops again. So there's a very clear, evident pattern that comes in. Right? Can you think of any business that will have such a strong seasonality pattern? Not this pattern, but any seasonality pattern, any business that has a very strong seasonality pattern.
So tourism.
Sales of automobile.
Tourism is good. It's a good example. Of course, now tourism is completely, gone bonkers. But
Yes, sir.
sure, tourism is a good example because it's predictable, right? When we know that families are going to travel during summer vacations, we know they are going to travel. It's not going to change. When the season is changing, people are going to travel to hill station, right? Okay. What is the other example?
So
Or automobile
fruits.
industry.
Which industry?
Automobile industry, sales in automobile.
Okay, you know what? Automotive seems like an example, but actually it is. I'll tell you the reason why. We say that automotive industry has to liquidate a lot of their stock, right? When a new model is going to come. But the problem is models don't come every year. Sometimes there is a 2-year or a 3-year gap. So it is very hard to say that there is that pattern. Sure, during Diwali, during Dhanteras, you would expect a spike. But if you look at the last 3 or 4 years, you really haven't found a very strong pattern emerging. Maybe it is there. I'm just talking up from my experience, and I don't do a lot of work in automotive sector, but I'm just generally saying it's definitely worth a look. Okay. Think of something which is even more strongly seasonal. Automotive is dependent on many other factors. No? When there was, think about this way, when there is a job loss, when the weather is impacted, there are many reasons for car sales to be impacted. Tell me something which will happen. Like people are going to purchase the product no matter what.
Textile or clothing industry.
Clothing is also severely correlated with disposable income, right? So when incomes are lower, it is impacting the clothing industry. See, the answer I'm looking at is more of I'll give you a hint. Think of a consumer packaged good. Think of an FMCG product that has a very strong seasonal pattern. See, soaps don't have a seasonal pattern. No, it's not that in 1 month, suddenly soap sales will increase and decrease. That has to do a lot with marketing and all. I'm not saying marketing. I'm saying even without marketing and advertising.
So drinks, cold drinks.
Exactly. Cold drinks are obviously a very good example where we know that summers are going to increase. Tell me something more.
Ice cream.
Seasonal fruits.
Seasonal fruits. Okay. So I will give you an example from Reckitt. Okay. So I worked with Reckitt for 3 years, and Moteen, right, is used when the season is changing, right? So when summer is winter and winter is changing into summer. And it's very interesting because we have to anticipate it. Can you imagine the number of decisions that have to be taken on the basis of that sales that are going to spike 2 months down the line? You have to plan your production. You have to plan your logistics. You have to plan your inventory management. You have to plan your trade schemes and your marketing schemes. So it's not that we know, oh, my sales are going to increase. You have to predict, right? Because you want to make sure that you have enough stock. The last thing an organization wants is that a consumer comes to the shelf and the consumer says, I want it, and the shopkeeper says, I don't have it. That is horrible, right? Like a customer wants your product, but you don't have it stocked. So this is some homework for you. Just think about industries that have a seasonal pattern in it, and not the obvious answer, something that is a little more non-obvious. Anyway, these are how the arrows work. Let me just complete this example, then you practice. So we know what is the up arrow, what is the drill down, what is the next level, what is the expand. If I keep on expanding, it will take me till the day level. Obviously, I don't want to see everything at the same time. So I can just choose a small snapshot, right? Like this. I can even choose the date manually like this. So maybe I just want to see from the 1st of November till the 31st of December, 2-month period, right? Like this. And the other thing that we have here is we have a focus mode. Focus mode basically expands your chart. So when you're presenting to a client, you might want to focus on a chart. That's why it's called the focus mode. And in the focus mode, also you can do the drill down and the drill up. And you can also click on these 3 dots and say, show as a table. What that means is it will show you the table and the chart at the same time, like this. This can also be very handy, you know, chart and the table at the same time. Let me go back to the report. And finally, you have an option to export the data, not the chart. Only the data will get exported as a CSV file. You can delete it and you can spotlight it. Spotlight means you can highlight it like this. Let me show it on the previous one. So let's say you're talking and you want the user to pay attention to one of the visuals. So I can just spotlight that, right? Like this. It's also a very nice way of getting the user attention on a specific visualization like this. Right. So just try this out, everyone. All the arrows and see if you are comfortable with them.
Sir, I want to ask one thing, like this arrows will work in Power BI. Like if we want to present it in a PPT, then can we do it? Or we have to use Power BI?
Power BI. That sort of defeats the purpose, no? If you are making a dashboard on Power BI and you continue to show it on PowerPoint. So it is expected to be presented on Power BI.
Okay.
There might be a connector coming next year, 2022, for Power BI. I don't know, I was reading it somewhere. One second.
So I got table and this chart. Then how to remove the table?
I'll tell you just a minute. Yeah, how to remove what?
The table, like at the final step, I got the table part also with the bar graph. So
Where's the
how to
table?
remove? Yeah, I just want this one.
Have you done this?
Yes, sir.
Just go back to the report.
Okay.
Sir, I am not getting the drill option.
Share your screen. Let's see.
Sir, is it visible?
Yeah, the reason is you have only kept the year and the axis. So just remove that. In the, no, not there, in the axis, below the visualization. Look on the right. Below the charts, you have the field option, which says axis, legend, values, small multiple, right? Below that. No, don't go clicking here and there. Hold on. Go to the right side of your screen. Correct. Just go down a little bit. Yeah, there. Remove that. Remove the order date and drag the order date once again.
Okay.
So is there any present mode of it, Power BI,
There is.
like so that
There is. You are expected to publish it to the Power BI service first, and from there you can send a link to other people, or you can present it on Microsoft Teams using a link. But Power BI Desktop is only an authoring tool, so there is no full screen or slideshow or present. Absolutely not. Because you're not expected to present it like this. Right? You're supposed to publish it. After publishing it, then you're supposed to send that link to other people. Right? Anything else? Anyone?
Sir, when we are drilling down and we stuck somewhere or we forgot that in which quarter or in which year are we, so how can we know that?
You can't really. I mean, there's no way to do that. If you hover your mouse, it tells you, right, that you're in 2014 quarter 3 August. That is the only thing. But otherwise, there is no other prompt that comes.
I mean, they need access detail or something like that.
No, access detail will not be there, but the tooltip is there. Right? This black box that you see, that will be there. The access will only tell you year. Sorry, it will tell you the year, what a month. It will not tell you in which. That will not be there. Right. Anything else? Anyone? Right. Okay. Now let's increase the size and expand it to quarter. Right. I'm making a duplicate page. In this, we will learn how to do profit margin. Right. Okay. Now, Power BI uses something called DAX. DAX is a expression language. It's not a programming language, it's an expression language, which is very similar to Excel. It is available on Excel as well, as a matter of fact. And what DAX allows you to do is to do calculations on data models, what we are using on Power BI. And DAX works not just on Excel and Power BI, but it works in other tools as well. So you can see that DAX works on Power BI, Excel, analysis services, so SSAS. It works a little bit on Visual Studio and Microsoft Azure, right? Which is fantastic. Because what you're learning here, let's look at the first three. It works on SQL Server, it works on Excel, and it works on Power BI. So what you're learning will help you not just with one Microsoft tool, but with multiple Microsoft tools. The documentation is there on the website. I'll share the link with you as well. There is a lot to read, okay? So DAX is a language which is simple to understand, but very difficult to master, right? And it has a lot of similarity with Excel in the sense that it has functions and operators, which Excel also does. But DAX cannot be learned by a process of hit and try. Like we always talk about Excel and we say that practice, practice, practice. DAX is not like that. DAX is not just about practicing, it is about making sure your foundation is good, right? So you have to understand how DAX works. Now, is it important? Very important. So earlier today, I was doing a session with Adani, right? Why don't I show that to you, okay? In the morning, I have had a packed day. So in the morning, I had a session with D Shaw. What we were working on was DAX. Let me open that. 1 second. Let me open the other one as well. Okay, let's not do this one. Let's do the other one. So this is what I was teaching at, I'm sorry, why is it not opening? It's opening now. Okay. So you can see that we were working on tax. So we were looking at things like this, okay? So we wanted to understand what is a change from one quarter to the other. It's not the same data set, it's a different data set to the one that we are working on, right? So you can see that this is the first quarter, but we can see that there has been a 9% increase in the next quarter. Then we have a 6%, 4%, minus 1%, like that. What you see here is a DAX formula. So we were also working on running total. So we were looking at running total, which again allows you to see the lifetime sales, cumulative total, right? This is what I did for them. And let me also show you what I was doing for Adani. Adani training, Power BI, solutions, was 30th, right? Okay, so we were looking at a very complex calculation. So we wanted to look at the sales YTD, which is year till date. So if I say in September, how much have I done till date? That means from April till September for the financial year, right? Now, financial year calculations are very difficult because all the tools, Excel, Tableau, Power BI, they all look at Jan to December. No, none of them look at April to March, right? So we had to build a custom date table. So this is like a really long formula. So this is, as you can see, 58 lines, right? And we had to build this entire thing because we wanted to change our fiscal start month to 4, which is April, right? So the reason I'm showing all of this to you is to tell you that while it's fun to create data visualization, you have to understand that there is a lot of depth to Power BI, right? We have DAX with us, we have R and Python integration with us, right? So we will be touching upon DAX, obviously. But keep in mind that it's a long journey. You can't expect to just learn visuals and get over with it. And that is the reason why I want to start with the formula now. After we do this, an introduction, I will go back to visualizations, right? But we have to take up challenges, right? If I keep on doing simple, fancy stuff, everybody will be very excited, but then you're not really learning what you can't learn on your own, right? Visuals you can learn on your own as well. It's not that difficult. Formulas, DAX is something I have to teach you, right? It's hard to learn that on your own. Okay. So with that context out of the way, let us come back. What we want to do here is to find the profit margin. Let's keep it very simple. I have my sales for Q1, which is 3.38 lakhs. But I would like to see my profit as well in the same tooltip. That black box that you see, this is called the tooltip, right? And you notice here that there is an option for the tooltip. Right, everyone, there's an option for the tooltip. But you notice that it is blank. So you must be thinking that if there is a number in it, why does the tooltip be blank? Because sales is the value that you have kept. So obviously it is showing you the sales value. But in addition to that, if you also want to show a different value, let us say the profit value, I can put the profit in the tooltip. Now it will show me two things, sales and profit. Very cool. If I want to show the quantity, I can do that. It will show me the quantity. Let me just add a few more things in it. I'm going to add my customer name, but something very strange happens. It shows me the name of the first customer. That means who is the first customer that purchased from me in that particular quarter. But that doesn't make sense. Like, why is that important to me, right? Who was the first customer? So I want to change this to the distinct count. That means this is what 470 is the number of unique customers that we have, right? So let me just rename it. I will call this unique customer. And we will also put customer name one more time. And this I will change to the count because that will give me the transactions. So rename, let's call it transaction. So now it is a very detailed cut that I'm able to see. It tells me sales, profit, quantity, unique customer, and the number of transactions. What we don't have is the profit margin because that has to be computed. We have to calculate it, which I'll be showing you how to do. But first, do this, everyone, for these 4 things in the tooltip.
So can you just explain one unique customer one?
District count. There is a list of customers. I'm looking at the district, the unique names that are appearing. So that will be the number of customers.
Okay.
So in drill through, what is that cross report? What does that do?
Leave that for now. We don't need that. Right? So these option drill through fields and all that allows you to go from one report to the other with the connectivity. That's a very advanced feature. Not very important as well. We can leave that.
Okay.
Comfortable with this, everyone? The tooltips.
Yeah, so which is a TX one? TX one.
TX is the number of transactions. I just renamed it. It's the count of customer name.
So there is a little bit of problem. Can I share my screen?
Sure.
Sir, the axis and all those things are not coming.
Click on the visual. On the visualization. No, on the chart that you have created. I'm confused. What is not coming? Oh, sure. So you just have to click on that.
Okay.
Let me share my screen again. Just a moment. Once again, I'm not able to find my Zoom panel. Okay, found it. All right, so we have profit, quantity, customer, transactions. We also want to look at the profit margin, right? So we are going to do this with a measure, this one. Right? And when you click on that, the formula bar will open up like this. So usually there is no formula bar in Power BI. It only comes when you click on measure. And it's a very simple formula. It will be profit margin, which is equal to the sum of my profit divided by the sum of my sales. Sum of profit divided by sum of sales.
So I'm not able to get this formula bar.
You have to click on new measure.
Yes, sir. I've clicked on new measure, but I'm unable to. It says working on it and then it disappears.
I don't know, just save your file, reopen it, see if that helps.
Okay, sir.
So can you please tell me from like how did you get this unique customer at the tooltips?
Unique customer, I put my customer name in it. Right. So I select my customer name and I change that to distinct count.
What is this VX?
Transactions.
So for transaction, what you selected custom.
Count of customer.
So first we need to put customer in the tooltips and then the count one.
Correct.
No, sir. I'm still unable to get the measure. Shall I share my screen?
You can. I'm not sure how I'll be able to help you with that, but let's see.
Okay. Let's try. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
So what is the formula? Sales divided by.
I'll show you just a minute. I don't know, go to 1 second. I don't really know what to say. Just click on the data view on the left side. On the left of your screen. I'll tell you which one it is. The second one. Yeah, the one below that. Click on new measure here. See if that works.
Yes, sir. Here it is coming.
No. See, look on the right side. Your measures are being created, but I don't know why the formula bar was not appearing. There must be some problem with the rendering on the system. I don't know, some software problem. Hard to say. Anyway, you can write it here itself, right?
Okay. So shall I like delete the other one?
You should. Ideally, you should. You'll have to click on the 3 dots and delete it.
So can we
Okay.
change the font size and all
For what?
for the formula that we wrote?
Control plus, control minus. Right. Let me reshare my screen.
Yes, sir. So shall I add the formula?
Yeah. I'll show you the formula. So control plus and control minus, everyone. Okay.
Yes.
Is it working, everyone? So once you do
Yes.
this, you will get a new field here called the profit margin. And there is a calculator symbol on it that tells you that this is something you have calculated, right? Now, one thing we have to do is we have to change it to a percentage here. This option. So select the profit margin and change it to a percentage. And once you've done that, you can put it in the tooltip. And it will give you sales, profit, profit margin, quantity, customer, and transactions.
So how to change by right clicking it
Change what?
into percentage?
No, you have to click on this, right? Select the tooltip, and then there's an option that will come here. This one. So measure tools, change it to a percentage.
Okay. Yes.
Right? I hope all of you are able to see the profit margin. Okay, but the problem is that I do not know the profit margin by simply looking at the complete chart. Like I would like to get a sense of the profit margin as well, right? So what we will do is we will convert my chart into a line and column chart, which is a combo chart, a combination chart. And in this, very smartly, now you notice it is giving you the profit margin, which you can put in the line value. Like this. I'm not really sure why the data label is coming with a black color. Anyway, we can change that. Change the data label. Yeah, much better. But I don't like it. You know why? Because it's very cluttered. It's very confusing to look at, isn't it? So what you can do is let me convert it back to a chart. Let's go back to the regular chart. I would like it to be very subtle. That means, what is the range of my profit margin? If you look carefully, let me go to my focus mode, show us the table. You can see that my profit margin is ranging from, it's all positive, obviously, from 10 to 13, 11, 12, like that, right? So they're all very close to each other, but we need to have three cuts. So we will say 10 to 11, 11 to 13, and 13 above, right? Like that. Or let's say 10 to 11, 11 to 12.5, and more than 12.5. So these colors have to come automatically. If it is up to 11, it will be one color. If it is 11 to 12 and a half, it will be a different color. 12 and a half and above will be another color. So let's select the chart and go to format. And we will select data colors. So we select data colors. And in data colors, we want to click on this FX button. This FX is basically conditional formatting. And this is where we will write the rule that 10 to 11 is 1, 11 to 12.5 is 1, 12.5 and above is a different color. It's fairly simple. I need to have a rule. The rule is as per my profit margin. We will say that if the value is greater than or equal to 0.0 to 0.11%, should be one color. Just choose any color that you want. Under the rule, let me say 0.11 to 0.125.
Why are we not keeping in percent?
That is something different. So that percent is used for top 20%, like that. Our value, we are not looking at the top 20% values. We're looking at a number that is 0 and a number that is 0.11. We're not looking at the top 11% data, right? We're looking at a number that is less than 11%. That's why. The largest one, you can make any number you want. I'll make it, let's say 1. 1 will be 100%, right? So I'm assuming that, or let's make it 1000%. Obviously, no profit margin will be greater than 1000%. Let me just show you the result once before I come back and show you how we have done this. So now you notice we get 3 different colors here. So the color is very subtle, and the color is telling me where the profit margin is the highest. So we have these 13 and 13 and 13. Then you have the yellows. The yellows are between our range. And then this is the smaller ones, which is less than 12.5, like that. Less than 11, right? So this is what we have done.
So like it's not visible that which color resembles which range. So can we put it on the screen?
That's a very good point. I don't know if we can do that. Usually we do it manually. Let me still try once. I don't think it has an option, at least not at the moment. But that's a very good point. I completely agree to that. That without that, it's very difficult for us to know what color represents what. That you can do manually. You'll have to make some shapes and do that manually. Yeah. I know it doesn't seem like the best approach. Let me still search for it once. Okay, there is some solution. Let's see. No, the inbuilt visualization does not allow you to do that. You will have to download a different visual for it. Yeah. So remember, just like programming, Power BI also requires you to be very, very skillful at being able to search for the right answers, right? One thing is to know what can be searched, what cannot be searched, where to search, and how rapidly you can search for it. You asked me a question, I did not know it. but I was able to phrase the correct question, and I got an answer in my first result, right? There is no shortcut to this. You just have to train yourself to get better at it. That can only happen when you read and read and read, right? I mean, look at the amount of reading I have to do on Power BI, right? So yeah, that's what I recommend. But yeah, no way to do that, unfortunately.
What if the profit margin is negative?
So if it was negative, now it will come as a color that we haven't defined, right? So it will come as an undefined color, like it will come as a standard blue color, right? If you haven't accounted for that in the rule that you have defined. So your rules should always be completely covering all the possibilities. If you haven't done that, then it's a mistake on your end.
In the rules, can I enter negative values for percent?
Why not? So like we have a data color here. If you wanted to say from minus 0.1, so say from negative 10 to positive 11%, it will be great color.
And can we apply two types of rule in the single data?
No. Why would you want to apply two types of rules?
Like if there is something else like profit margin, and also if there is any other condition which we also want to visualize, something like that.
No. If you want to do that, then you will first have to create a measure which will first find out those combinations, and that measure will then be used as a field here. Right? For example, if you say that I would only like a blue color, this is what you're saying. No, just correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that the blue should only come if the sales is more than 500,000 and the profit margin is more than 12.5%. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
But for that, you will first have to do you'll have to create a calculated column, and then you'll be able to do it.
So we first need to apply the sales which have 500,000 greater. Then on that we need to apply this profit one.
No, not even that. You see, at one point in a visual, only one rule can be applied, right? So you will have to use a field here. That means you'll have to create a calculation first that tells me how many of them have a profit margin greater than 12.5 and sales value greater than that, like that. You will have to do that. Even then, I'm not sure how the rule will come. Just let me just think for a minute. We think. I can try, but it might be a little. I know the problem seems very straightforward. It's actually quite a complex problem. Let's see. So, for example, let me not change this. Let me do it on a different sheet. So I have. Let me remove the colors first. That will make it easier. So we want to say that profit margin greater than 13 and sales greater than 10 lakhs, right? Like here, it is not greater than 10 lakhs, right?
Yes.
This is the only one, right, where it is matching that condition. But 13, more than 13, we have in other places also, right? 13 is here as well. Let's see. I'll just call it 10. I don't know. I'm not very confident about this. Let's see. So I'm putting a 1 and a 0 here. So now if we come back to color and I say that I have a field. No, that will not really work. So if I say So that works, right? Okay, let me just show you what I've done here. This is an AND, like you do A and D in Excel. Here we have a double ampersand, right? It's very simple. No? I'm saying if the sum is greater than 10 lakh and the profit margin is greater than 30, right?
So
Does it make sense?
this profit margin, okay, we have already defined profit margin. Okay.
We already defined that, so we don't have to
Yeah.
calculate it again.
Yeah. So I was thinking like we need to first declare the profit margin variable, and
It's already defined. It's already a measure.
yeah, got it.
Remember, the result has to be 1 and 0. The thing is that in the rule that you have kept, I can only keep a number and a percent. So if you said, what if you say high and low, H and L? You can't do that because the result will only be a number or a percent. So if you have 4 types of colors on the basis of 4 different conditions, whatever the conditions are, you will have to get the results as 4 numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. It's a little odd because usually in Excel we write the result as a text value, but here you have to write it as a number. You don't have a choice. All right, coming back. Any questions on this, anyone? Right. Fairly simple, right? Okay, let's move on. I'm just thinking what to show you. All right. Now we need to create a QoQ change. That means I want to see the change from one quarter to the other. Again, we'll copy the same chart that we have here. And right now what is happening is it is telling me a lot of different things. Profit, margin, all that. But I want to see the change from one quarter to the other. That means maybe remove all the other things so that there's no confusion. From 3.38 lakhs, when it became 4.8 lakhs, what is the increase that has happened? We know there is an increase, but what is that delta? What is that increase, right? Let's see how we do that. But because we are doing a time intelligence calculation, let me just write that here. So you can create measures like profit margin, but to create measures using dates, right? We need something special. We need something called a date table. This is mandatory. What is the date table? So a date table in Power BI is essentially a table which has a column, a single column with dates in it. So you notice to create a date table, you need to have a column with a date in it. But what's the big deal? The big deal is that if you want to use DAX, you can use DAX anyway, like we just did. We used profit margin. But because I want to do a time intelligence function on DAX, that means I want to do something with a date and time, right? YTD, MTD, running total, rolling averages. Like we read about the COVID 7-day moving average, right? If you want to calculate things like that, there is a model prerequisite. And what is the prerequisite? You must have at least one date table in your model, right? And there are a few conditions that have to be met. Ignore the last one. This is not important. It must have a column with a date in it. It must contain unique values. It must not contain blank values. It must not have any missing dates, and it must be a complete year. Right? We don't really care about all these things, but we know that it can be done in many different ways. We can use Power Query, we can use tags, right? All of this. I'm putting the link here in case you want to go back and read this. You should read this in detail. But how do we create a date table? We know it is needed. Why do you need it? Without this, formulas won't work. Not any formulas, but date formulas will not work, right? The next question is, how do you create it? To create a date table, we will go to the data view, something we haven't done so far. So we will go to, let me just write down the steps here first. So we go to the data view, we create a table, and we call it calendar auto. Right? Then you come to the modeling view. And in the modeling view, you will create a relationship. And after you do that, please note, your original date will not work. I know I've written a lot of things. Let me explain that one by one. Why we need it is not because I'm telling you to. You have to make one. Otherwise, you can't do calculations, right?
So what are the significance like where we can use just measures, date measures?
There is no fear. It is not about a significance. You have to make it. If you don't do this, you can't do calculations in Power BI. Right? So without this, any date formula will not work. So if I want to see the change from one quarter to the other, I have to write a formula for that, right? And I can't do that without a date table. How do you make one? We go to the data view and we create a table using the function calendar auto. Let's do that. So we go to the data view, then we go to new table, okay? And we simply say that my date table is equal to calendar auto. Date table is equal to calendar auto. Please do this everyone. Data view, table tools, new table, this is my function. You have to write. Simple enough.
So how do you adjust the size of the formula bar? It is coming way too big for me and I'm unable to make it small.
Like you do it on smartphone. Or you can do control plus, control minus.
No, sir, the formula bar isn't changing its size. It's
I don't know.
taking
Share your
up the
screen.
whole screen.
Let's see.
There is no arrow coming, reduce the size.
What is that arrow in the top right corner? Click on that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So this is done, and now you can see that a table has been created here, right? The date table, and it's a date table. It's nothing much to tell you. It's a date table with a single column in it called the date, right? That's it. The second step is that we have to now create a relationship, because this date table is not connected to my orders table, right? So if I remove everyone, if I remove my field and I keep my new date in it, please do this, everyone. You notice it doesn't work. Please try this. Keep the date in the axis.
So it is coming 12.6 for all.
I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the number you're getting, right? So clearly something is not working. And this means that we will now have to create a relationship. This we do in the modeling view. So in the modeling view, now you can see that there are two tables that we have. We have the orders compact and we have the date table. And we have to connect this with this. Simply drag and drop.
So can you show again from where this came?
So we have the report view, we have the data view, and we have the modeling view, like this.
And sir, arrows?
What arrows? Drag and drop. Just select it, drag it, and drop it on order date.
Because I am unable to do it.
Share your screen. Let's see.
Yes, sir. Here are the.
Right. So just select the date and put it on the order date. That's it. Drag. Double click and drag. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. And now you see my visualization is working, and it is the same thing what we had done earlier, but this is important because now I can do the calculation on it, which is the quarter over quarter change, which earlier would not have been possible. Any questions so far? Okay, now this part is going to be a little tricky. It's not difficult, but if you expect that it is going to be similar to Excel and all, it's not, right? Because DAX is not like Excel. You don't have cells and rows and column and dollar signs, right? It can only work with a table and it can work with columns. So obviously the way you think also changes a lot. It's not about the fact that, oh, the formula is different and the functions are different. It's much more than that, right? The entire way you have to think now has to change. So I want to click on new measure, and please, before you copy this, watch me do it, understand, ask questions, right? So I'm going to first write previous quarter. Okay. Now the question is, how do I get my previous quarter? First, let me get the current quarter. That means I want to calculate the value for my current quarter. That means the same number, 0.34, 0.48, like that. So what I'll do is I will say calculate the sum of sales. Now, a lot of you must be thinking, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, will it not be the same number? If you do calculate sum of sales, it is going to be the same number, isn't it? And exactly, you notice that when I create a measure, right, this current quarter, and I put it in the tooltip, you would notice that I get the same thing. I get 3,38,000, 3,38,000. But then what's the point? The point is that when I write calculate, I can evaluate an expression. That means I can do a calculation which has been modified by filters, right? Just hear me out. If I say, what is the count of, what is the batch strength? That's a calculate, count of all the students. If I say, what is the batch strength for females? Then that changes, right? I'm modifying that by a filter. There's a filter I've applied. If I say, I only want to know what is the male-female ratio. So what is the number of female with minimum 4 years of experience and who have done engineering. So I'm modifying by filters, correct? That is what we want to do. So I want to calculate the sum of sales, but I don't want to do it for the current quarter. I want to do it for the previous quarter. So I want to shift my date. That means I literally want to go like this. I want to go to the left. From here, I will go to this. From here, I will go to, you understand what I'm doing, right? But how do you do that? There is a function called date add, which means it will move the given set of dates by a specified interval. That means, what is my date? From the date table, I will select the date, right? From the date table, I will select my date, comma, what is the interval? -1, and what is the interval type? It is a quarter. Now see what happens. In the first quarter, you only have 3.38. Why? Because there is no previous quarter, so it can't go to the left. There's nothing on the left. In the second one, do you see how the number is shifted? You have 3.38 here, but that is shifted to the right. Then the 4.8 is shifted to the right. Then it is shifted to the right, like this. So we are getting somewhere. But we don't want to see the value of the previous quarter. I want to see the change happening. So I will say, let's call this QOQ change. And we will say, let's declare a variable. Remember, we did let in Excel. Maybe we were declaring variables. We're doing the same thing here. We are calling it var. So we are saying, let's say my previous quarter is equal to this. So if this is the previous quarter, then what will be the current quarter? Current quarter is sum of sales. So how do I find the change? The sum of current quarter minus the previous quarter divided by the previous quarter. So if I say the sum of, we'll have to return the result first. So we want to say that the sum of the current quarter minus the previous quarter divided by the previous quarter. Right? What is this expected to give me? This will tell me that in the first one, it's infinity, obviously, because there is nothing before it. No? So there is an error that is coming. But from 3.38 to 4.8, there was a 42% increase. Let me convert this into a percentage as well here. Okay. So you notice that 41%, 27%, 35% decreased 51%, right? Like that. But this infinity is not good. I don't like the fact that there is an error coming. It is very misleading, right? So we will do something called a divide, which is a safe divide. which handles the zero case. So in the same divide, the advantage is that I can say sum minus previous quarter divided by previous quarter, and I can also say an alternate result. That means first quarter. This completes my formula. This is the first quarter, so that's why I'm saying first quarter. 41%, 27%, like this. Fair enough. But we haven't finished it, okay? I want to do something more with it. I also want to format my formula. So we can copy it and we can go to this website called Tax Formatter. What does it do? It's a free tool allowing you to format your code. So they have defined some guidelines here, like, what are the things to keep in mind? This is not given by Microsoft, but it is like the unofficial guideline. You can consider it like that. You just put your code here and it will automatically format it for you. Let me copy it, come back and paste it. And this, everyone, is how we build a calculation on DAX. Yeah. So you can try this out. Please make sure to try it and also ask questions. And take your time, no hurry.
Sir, please tell why you use calculate, that why we use calculate before sum. Sir, you are on mute.
Because calculate allows me, if you can notice, it allows me to evaluate an expression modified by filters. So that means I'm finding the sum of sales, right? The sum of sales should have given me the sum of the current quarter, isn't it? Like right now, it is September. So sum of sales will give me what? It will give me the sales for September. But because I've said I want to shift my quarter by one, let's say month by month, it will give me the sales for the last month, for August, like that. That is what calculate does.
Okay.
Don't worry about the spacing and all, because in any case, tax formatter, right? This website will format that for you. Right? So you don't have to bother with that.
Sir, while doing this for the previous sheet, my data had changed, sir. So how,
I don't follow. What has changed?
like, so should I save my screen?
Yes.
So for this one, this toolkit one and for profit margin, this is
Yeah,
coming.
remove the order date. You have to keep the date in it.
Sorry.
Remove the order date. Yeah, just remove that
Yes.
and keep the date from the date table.
I deleted it.
Right? Yeah, you'll have to make the date once again. New table.
Yes, sir.
And connect it as well. No, it's not over yet. Go to the
Model.
modeling view, correct, and connect it. Right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. And now you can write the formulas.
Okay.
See, it is expected to be a little difficult, right? The same example that's why I showed you, right? With D. Shaw for the financial operations team, with Adani for their CEO office, I was doing the same thing. So it's not that everybody else in the world knows how to do it already and it's simple. It is expected to be a little difficult because it's new, it's a long formula, right? So that's okay. Take your time and make sure you understand it well.
So while copying to the other side, do you do the sync part or don't sync?
Don't sync. What happens when you sync is that if I change the slicer here, it will change the other pages also. You don't want that to happen because then you won't know why something is changing, right? So always don't sync. Great. What else?
So we can also apply a filter, no? Like if the year quarter on quarter change is negative, then that bar will show a different color.
We can do that. So we can go to data colors and say that now we're looking at my QOQ change. So I've taken 10. 10 is basically 1000%, right? But there's something here. First quarter, actually, this is the problem, The first quarter will come like this because it's actually an undefined value, right? That's something you have to account for. So that color, actually, I'm not sure what you do with that. Let me think. So maybe that one you can change manually, perhaps. Yeah, you might have to do that only for the first quarter. Right? The
So
rest,
for applying this formula, we get the sales for the first quarter for all the years, right?
sales for the first quarter for no, we're getting all the quarters for all the years.
So like I want to I'm confused, like what is the real time use? Like we've used it.
Let me show you. Don't you see these reports that come that profit has dropped so much, it has increased so much. So don't, just a minute. How will you calculate these things? How will you find the quarter-wise movement? How will you find the month-wise movement on this? Right. This is like, how should I put it? Like after the profit sales, this is like the first thing every organization has to do. Right?
Okay, like we compare from the previous
You see
quarter.
this?
Yes.
Of course, we are comparing with the previous quarter.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Like this is one of the most important KPIs for any business, right? The quarter-over-quarter change, month-over-month change.
Okay.
If you wanted to compare versus the previous year, then that's a different thing, right? It will compare versus the previous year. So, for example, if I want to compare versus the previous year, then I can change my formula and I can make it -1 year. So that means it will tell me 18%, 27%, 26%. The growth that has happened, right? Like that. Great. What else? So you can see that it is only in quarter 4 that there has been the drop, right? But is that true for all the business segments? Maybe not. So I'm going to make a slicer. We already know how to do that. So I'll make a slicer with my business segment in it. And you will notice that for each segment, almost the same pattern is there, right? But if you do this also with different markets, let's look at United States, Latin America. Do you see this? Latin America has this additional quarter where there was a drop that happened, which is not there in the other markets. Europe is even more inconsistent when it comes to this, right? Same for APAC. There was one quarter where this happened. Right? Africa, again, there were 2 quarters where in succession it dropped. So this is the type of hunting that you have to do to come up with insights. Right? See, if you're applying for a B school, if you go for a B school competition or if you're working in the corporate, it's not that you are told and it's about knowing the right formula. It's you have to experiment. You have to try different things. Sometimes it's not very clear what is happening. So you have to try out different ideas. That's how you will get to know. So please try this, everyone. One more thing you can do is this slicer can be changed into the horizontal orientation like this. Very simple. Just go to general format, okay, and change the orientation into horizontal orientation. So that will make it look like buttons like this. Then I can do a format painter like this. So it makes it look a lot better. I'm not sure why this blank is coming for me. I don't know if it's coming for you or not. Anyway, let me just remove that. it doesn't matter, let the blank be there. It says there are NS7285 blank rows. No, it seems to have picked up the entire sheet. There's some problem. Anyway, not important.
Sir, in vertical format, we can select multiple
Here also you
options.
can press select multiple. You can press Control and select multiple.
Okay.
So if you want to select two of them, just press Control and select. But visually, this looks a lot better.
So will you please just show once what are the rules you have set for the QOQ changes?
I will. Yeah. Show you what?
Rules, what are the rules you have set up?
For the color?
No, yeah, for the QOQ changes, yes.
Sure. So -10, which is basically -1000% to 0 is grey, and 0 to 1000% is yellow.
Okay, got it.
Remember that first quarter will come as a blue color, so that you will have to change manually. So I went to show all and I changed that manually. The first one. Maybe it says first quarter now. So can we also add another rule to say that if it is equal to first quarter, will that be possible? No, we can't. We can't have a text. No, that's the problem. Right. Yeah, we'll have to do it this way. All good for now? Okay, so let's see what we have done. We have done the dashboard, we have done drill. Oh, by the way, your initial dashboard will now not work. You will have to replace the order date with the new date that you have created. So just replace that with the date once. That's all. You know, that's why if you notice, I told you that all of these will have to be changed. That's why if you notice, I told you very clearly that if your date table has been created, your original date will not work. Original order date will not work. So let me fix all these. Good, I think enough DAX for now. Let's go back to visualizations. Right? Great. Have all of you signed in? Can you just check on Power BI?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
This would be with your college account, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this will not accept a Gmail account. It will have to be an official account. In your case, it would be an institute account. Later, it will be a corporate account. So we want to work with a custom visualization now. So in addition to what we already have with us, which is a little bit, we have many more visualizations available on the marketplace. So I can go to more visuals. And in more visuals, we have many more visualizations available. So I'm going to search for something, okay? So if we scroll down, you notice there are so many of these that have been given to you. For now, we want to search for the advanced donor. everyone, the advanced total. This is the free version. So with the paid version, you have more features, but you can get a taste for how it works. Let's see how it works. Let's click on get it now. And once you import it, it will come here. Right. So we go to the store from more visuals. And once we get it, it comes here at the bottom. Now, why is this special? Because this one allows you to keep multiple levels in it, up to 3. This is the free version. So you only have 3 levels. With the paid version, you can put more than that. So I'm going to keep my market, add my segment, and my category, and my sales value. And this is so cool because this allows you to just look at this. This allows you to click on any one of the markets and you can go in that like this. I mean, this is nothing like what you would have seen on Excel or what you can create on Excel. Any questions, anyone on this? Like this, there are a lot of these, but how do you really capture all of them? There is something called the Financial Times visual vocabulary. I'll share the link with you. It is available on GitHub, okay? All right, so we have the FT visual vocabulary. Okay. Why am I not able to find it here? That's strange. Let me search on Google itself. Anyway, it's here, right? So we have something called the Financial Times visual vocabulary. What this is a collection of different types of charts that Financial Times uses, right? And they have explained when to use what type of chart, right? Like this. So there are a few of them that you would understand, some of them that would be new to you, some of them that you would have seen, but you would have never known how to make them or how to use them, right? I want to give you an example. This is called the Merrimack. Okay. I'll share the link as well. So consulting firms, when they work on Excel, most of the work happens on Excel, right? So if you look at consulting firms in Big Four, they use something called ThinkCell. It's a very old firm, about 20 years old, and they allow you to create these absolutely fantastic charts. So for PowerPoint, look at the type of charts you can create here. Okay, so 8 of the top 10 consulting firms are using it, and 80 of the top 100 US firms. So definitely worth a look. This is paid, obviously, but at least so that you know what it does and what all is there, you should have a look at this. Things there. Anyway, so in the Financial Times visual vocabulary, like I said, we have different types of charts available. So I want to show you the Meko chart. So I click on more visuals. Then I say Meko, M-A-K-A-O. There are two of them available. One is made by Microsoft. The other is made by some other firm. I can select the Microsoft one. Don't do it. You can do it later. This is just for your understanding, okay? Now see, in a Meko, what happens is, let's say you make a column chart, right? I will keep my, let's take an example. Let me say my market. I will take my sales value, and I will also keep my segment. Now you notice that this is fairly simple to understand as to what is happening. We have 5 markets and we have 3 business segments, right? I can also make the data label, so it tells me the percentage coming from each of the segments. But the width of each column is the same. That means if I ask you, out of these 5 markets, which market is the highest? You don't know. Now I can sort my data as per the sales value. Okay. Watch carefully. I can sort my data as per market. That will make it alphabetical, right? If I sort it as per the sales value, that will make it APAC, Europe, USA, LATAM, Africa. That means clearly APAC is the highest, followed by Europe, US. But by how much? Visually, I can't make that out because the width is exactly the same. This is where the Meko chart comes in. The Meko chart, right, is also just like the column chart, but it has an additional option called the axis width. And if you keep the sales here, you notice that the width of that column is also changing, which is so useful, right? It gives that additional layer of analysis, because without this, you can just see the percentage contribution. You can't see the width. So you have to make another chart. This gives you both the things together. Okay. That's why the Meko chart is used so often. It's called the Mari Meko. If you Google it, you will see there are hundreds of examples available on the Meko chart. And if you go through consulting reports, I have a few of them here. If you go through consulting reports, you will definitely find Meko charts somewhere or the other, right? It always be there. Like this is a slight variation on the Meko chart. It's called the waffle chart. Right. Any questions, anyone? So I will give you something to read before we meet again tomorrow. This Financial Times visual vocabulary that is there. There is also a downloadable version in which it's an interactive Power BI file. So let me just show that to you. Give me a moment. I don't know, I can't seem to find it. Anyway, I'll send it to you. I'll just show you what it is. I'll add it to the recording itself, right? This is how it looks. Training, Power BI, solutions, visual vocabulary. So this hasn't been made by me. I take no credit for it. The visual vocabulary is the one I showed you earlier. Is just a image, right? This is an actual Power BI file where different types of visualizations have been created. Look at this. So we have different types of deviation, correlation, different types of ranking, right? Like this is a very popular one called the slope chart. Right? Almost all reports by consulting firms will have this. Lollipop chart is also very popular, and the bump chart, right? This one. Then you have so many of them, right? There are about 50 of them that have been given here. Like we all know the column and the bar. I just did the Marimekko for you. We have the pie chart, tree map, arc, sunburst, donut, grid plot. Grid plot is also sometimes called the waffle chart and the waterfall. Like this, there are different types of charts that have been given. Like this is a very nice chart for supply chain, especially. So when you're doing some planning, you can actually move these things around, right? Like this. This is called the Sankey. Sankey is again very, very popular. One of the most used visualizations for this specific purpose. If you Google it, the Sankey, you'll find hundreds of examples on the Sankey. Yeah, so this file I'll be adding to the downloads folder. You can take it from there, right? The visual vocabulary. Anything you would like to ask anyone? See, there are so many of these that I have also not gone through all of them. And I've been working on Power BI for 3 years now, 19, 20, 20, 3.5 years now, right? Since March of 18. And that's okay. The idea is not to spend time reading more and more of visuals. But you should know, right? Like I always take a lot of pride in the fact that even if I haven't worked on a visualization, if a client tomorrow has a requirement, I'll be able to point them in the right direction, right? So I always say have a shallow level of understanding. Everybody tells you, no, don't have shallow, have a deep level of understanding. I feel it is very important to have a shallow level of understanding about a wide number of things, so that whenever you need to pull on any one of those strings, you can do that. I hope that makes sense, right? Like earlier, we used to say that in consulting, you should have a T type of learning. That means there should be one area of your specialty and everything else should be very shallow. So you should have a little bit of idea about everything. Now we are talking about M, we are talking about W. W basically means that there should be multiple areas where you have a deep area of expertise. So you can't just say that I'm a coder. You have to know data visualization as well, right? You have to probably know, I don't know, web scraping as well. If you're an analyst, you might need to have some other skill with you as well. So data, the way it is changing has completely changed the way job profiles are there and job roles are, like, because I've been training organizations for so long now, I have seen the shift in the last 5-6 years, how things are shifting. I'll just show you. There was a panel discussion that happened yesterday. I'll also share the link with you in case you're interested. You should definitely have a look at this. There was a panel discussion that happened yesterday, and the people who were doing this, these were the speakers, okay? So Anil is, these are all Fortune companies, right? So Fortune 500 companies, most of them at least. So CGI is a Fortune 500 company, I think. Even Pfizer is a Fortune 500. So Anil is Director L&D. Pawan is Director L&D. Rajesh is Senior VP and Global. He's the head of blockchain, analytics, AI at TechN. Rahul has been with SAP for 17 years. He's a senior director in AI, right? So I moderated this discussion for the Economic Times. This happened yesterday. The video is on LinkedIn, and very interesting conversations, around data and how things are changing, and how, like, Pawan and Anil spoke from the point of view of learning and development, how upskilling has to happen, how citizen data analysts have to be created. So everybody in the organization now needs to work with data. And that is not a good thing. I'll tell you why. It should scare you, because if you want to pursue a career in data, how will you be better than others? If everybody knows how to work in Power BI, how will you stand out, right? Those of you who are interested in finance and HR and marketing, that's okay. For you, data is an important, but a part of your overall repertoire. But if you're pursuing a career in IT or in data analytics, then what is it that differentiates you from the entire group? Then you need to know much more. You need to go much deeper, right? I hope you understand where I'm coming from. So in the future, you will see more and more of everybody start to work on data. So if you want to have that USP and that upper edge, then you need to work on it actively. Right? Great. Any questions, anyone? Tomorrow we are going to do Power Query. So our fourth session. Power Query is a tool in Power BI that allows us to combine multiple files together, do things like SQL. So extract, transform, load, combine, merge, append, column by examples, all of that, right? So we'll be working on that. And perhaps we can start with Tableau tomorrow itself. We spend one day on Tableau. Then, of course, we have PowerPoint as well. SQL, I will, like I said, I'll come back to you in the morning. I'll just speak to Anubhav. I think Saturday, Sunday, we should be able to do it. You can just tell me on the group, what are your available slots? So I will ask, because you might have a timetable, right? Just tell me when you guys are available, and I'll check with Anubhav as well, right? For the SQL session. But the SQL session is unrelated to everything else that we are doing, right? In any case. Great. Any questions, anyone? I've shared this link, right? Yeah. So yesterday, one of my ex-interns, Sanjay, is working with ABB right now. He created a very nice dashboard on BBT. Look at this. It's pretty cool, right? I think he has the link here as well. And he's an MBA finance. He's not even from analytics. And he's working as a Power BI analyst with ABB Hitachi now, right? This is what he created on Power BI. Right? So this is my homepage. Right? I'm not sure if he has put the links here or not. No, it doesn't seem like it. And I'm not even sure if, yeah, so this is the scroller. It's a custom vision. What you see at the top is give that rating scale. I'm very confused. Has he not given an option for the slicer? I'll have to speak to him once. Any which way. You should also follow him on LinkedIn. Sanjay is very, very prolific. So because he was an MBA student till 5-6 months back, he loves to talk about his experiences, how to prepare your profile, how to apply to different companies, what to learn, how to learn coding, right? So if you look at his posts, he did a 4-month internship with me. If you look at his posts, he literally has a post like every day, right? He does a lot of free sessions as well, right? Where he teaches Power BI analytics, right? So every day he has some post where he talks about his journey learning all these things. You should definitely follow him. I'll share his link with everyone. Sanjay Chandra. Excellent. So that's all from my side for today. Tomorrow we meet. We start with Power Query. and we should be able to wrap up Power BI as well. And we will start with Tableau, right? Mac users will not have a problem if any of you are working on the Mac. Tableau works both on Mac and Windows. Make sure to install Tableau before you come, right? Tableau public is also okay, but if you have a licensed version, well and good. If not, the Tableau public version will work as well. We'll be working on the same data set on which we work today. Great. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we do 7:30, right? Same time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
everyone.
Sir, hello.
Debbie.
So actually, we have class tomorrow. My section.
That's information I was not given. I was told that we can do. So when do you have a class?
It will be approx 6:30 or 7:30. Let me check once. I'm not very
Okay.
sure.
Anyway, that's all. Don't tell me now because as it is, a few of the people are left. Just tell the coordinator, right? And they will speak to me on the group. Right? We'll figure something out.
Yes, I will sort it out, sir. Tomorrow.
Anyway, let me know if you're doing it, not doing it, doing it. We can't do it earlier, obviously. We can only do it late in the day. So if you want to do it a little late, I'm okay with that as well.
Okay, sir, we'll inform you, sir.
Yeah, just tell me on the group later, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.